Hello, my name is Dylan Kramer,
And I'm Jacob Cornett.
and this is the Ithaca News. And we will start off with our top story about a man who, in the face of adversity, has persevered and used his bravery to defeat a Cyclops.
Yes, a man named Odysseus, the king of Ithaca, who has been gone from his homeland for a long while.
And ever since the Trojan War, Odysseus has been on a quest to return to his homeland and be with his family.
One of these challenges when his crew docked on an island that was inhabited by Cyclops.
If you don't know what a Cyclops is, it's a giant that has one eye.
And they're uncivilized. After they docked the ship, Odysseus took his 12 best fighters to investigate one of the Cyclops' caves.
Odysseus took his 12 best fighters because he was expecting a fight from him, as he did not believe that the Cyclops would know Greek customs and that you are supposed to be a graceful house guest.
While approaching the Cyclops' home, Odysseus' men had an idea.
Yes, one of his men had stated that they should just take the Cyclops cheese and take him back to the ship, then return and throw open the animal pens and then make a run for it and leave as quick as they can.
Odysseus even stated that this idea sounded a very good one. However, he wanted to see what the Cyclops had to offer them as gifts for being a guest.
So they continue into the cave with the Cyclops, and they prepare an offering for him as a sign of respect towards the beast.
Soon after, the beast came back and saw Odysseus and his men.
The Cyclops then questioned as to why they were there, who they were, and such.
Odysseus answered that they were trying to get home after the Trojan War, since they were blown off course and were lucky to be in his home. According to Greek customs, it was to give gifts to one who enters their home, like a stranger.
The Cyclops then quickly answered that the group were ninnies, and that he was much more powerful than the gods, and that he was not worried if the gods would punish him for being a terrible house guest.
After this, he asked Odysseus where he had docked his ship, presumably to destroy it.
But Odysseus, with the bravery of one of the calmest men in the world, stated that the ship had been destroyed during a storm and that they were lucky to survive.
The beast refused their offer and thought they had intruded on his home. He took one of his men, ate him, ripping him apart. This angered all of them.
Now the beast closed the exit and they were trapped. But Odysseus was so angered, and he was very brave, and he took all the confidence inside of him, and drew his sword from his waist, and he then stabbed the Cyclops where the midriff holds the liver. And he could not kill the beast, however, because if he had killed him, then the large boulder could not be moved.
After that, Odysseus caused 2 more of his men to be eaten by the beast. But also there was a staff that was next to the wood of an aloe tree. His men cut it into a 6-foot-long pole out of it, and Odysseus smoothed it and sharpened it to make it a stake-like.
Then Odysseus stuck the tip of the stake into the fire, and then he turned it around to make it so that the wood was tougher. That way it wouldn't break. And then Odysseus, when he kept his composure in the events, and he then offered the Cyclops of wine to drink, and the wine tasted so good to the Cyclops they wanted more and more, and that he said they even tasted as a drink from the gods, and he asked for more.
Odysseus ended up pouring them 3 bowls and got him intoxicated, then proceeded with a brave lie, which was his name was inhabited. After this lie, the beast fell over on his back into a deep slumber.
After this, Odysseus and his men took the stake from the area that was hidden, and they drove it into the Cyclops' eyeball with all the bravery and courage that they could possibly have. They kept it into his eye until the eyelid and eyelashes were burned off.
The beast's eyeball was on the verge of boiling, and the roots of his eyes were popping out. The beast roared in pain, and Odysseus and his men retreated back in fear. The beast took the spike out of his eye and threw it as far as he could, and called for the other Cyclops to come to his aid. But at this point we learned that his name was Polyphemus. But when his friends asked who did this, he said nobody hurt him, which they thought nobody did, so nobody came to his aid.
So this other Cyclops went away, believing that he had done this to himself.
The next morning, Odysseus had an idea to get out of the cave. However, it was very complex.
You see, Polyphemus only lets animals go through the caves, so Odysseus came up with a brave and courageous plan that was where he told his men to tie himself underneath the beast, underneath Polyphemus's livestock.
This would be possible as Polyphemus was blinded from the so-called incident.
They were extremely, it took a lot of courage and bravery for them to do this, because if they had been caught, then they would have been killed for sure by Polyphemus.
Even though they were almost caught as they were extremely close to Polyphemus, they succeeded in escaping.
After they had escaped, the group then took the animals as their own livestock onto their ship and were about to escape and be gone for good.
However, Odysseus was determined to let Polyphemus know who did this. He wanted to get recognition for this and be recognized.
So Odysseus began to taunt Polyphemus, saying who he really was and how he was looked down upon by the gods for being such a terrible host to his guests in his house.
Out of nowhere, the strength of 100 men, Polyphemus started hurling boulders at the ship.
Even with all this happening, Odysseus kept taunting the beast, even against the request of his own crew members.
Polyphemus then dropped to his knees and prayed.
He prayed to his dad, Poseidon, who is the god of the sea, and to say that to never let the crew reach home.
He also begged that Odysseus' men would be killed, and he would have to do this journey alone.
After this, the crew successfully escaped and is currently on their journey home.
This is truly an amazing story. We'll be back right with the weather after this commercial break.